Tools you will need. I used a Bosch Bulldog Extreme roto hammer. I used a 1/2-inch drill. You note on my drill I did place a line level that was broken on the top. The reason that is on there is if I want to drill horizontally, I'll be able to drill level by watching the level. That way I can have a level break in my rock, hopefully. You will need a hammer.
And this is a 4-pound hammer.
And you'll need feathers and wedges. My feathers and wedges have been well used. So you have to be careful of how you put those in your drilled holes. Notice that the down end is fatter than the top end. This is important to know because a lot of times these feathers get bent straight. They should look more like this when they're new. These are 1/2-inch wedges, which will go in the 1/2-inch hole. And this is a wedge. And it's well used. And the wedge goes in like that. So when I put it in the hole, I hold it like that and clamp the two ends together here and put it in the hole. I use 2 hands to do that. I can't do it while I'm videoing this. But another thing I use is a pencil, carpenter's pencil, and a ruler, and a little square. The reason I do that, it's mainly used for the straight edge because I want to make my drill holes on the rock in a straight line. Here's my box of beat up feathers and wedges. They still work, but you just have to be careful how you put them in. Another good tool to have is a retrieval tool in case you lose a feather down in a hole. You can take this, put it down in the hole, and retrieve your feather. Works very well. And this is the 1/2-inch drill. It is a 12-inch drill. And I always cool my drill after each hole is drilled. If you don't cool your drill, you will go through a lot more drills, and those are sometimes $20 or more a piece. Another thing I use is a pail of water to put my drills in after each hole. It only needs a minute or 2 to cool the drill. This will save your drills from the tips breaking off. Once the carbide tip is gone, your drill is shot. Another piece of equipment you should have, if you have any distance from an outlet, to use a heavy extension cord. Should be 14 gauge or larger, like a 12 gauge to 14 gauge. A 14 gauge is probably good enough. The reason you want to use a heavy type extension cord is so you don't burn your motor out. So that's the tools we use. Bosch Bulldog Extreme SDS Plus. So that's it for the tools. Remember to wear safety glasses and hearing protection when you're using this equipment. What you see here is this rock that I previously broke has been turned over to get me a flatter surface, and I'm going to try to break off the top part because I cannot lift this whole rock because I tore my hamstring and I don't want to further injure it. So what I'm going to be doing is the same procedure that I did at the last break. Notice I've scribed my line, and I like to make a straight line. And I've got a fairly flat surface here, but underneath it's really jagged, so I don't know how this is going to break. But you use the same procedure to put in your feathers and wedges, and hope for the best. Try to keep in mind the underside of this rock to where your density is. And you kind of have to judge your hitting of the wedge according to the density. The greater the density, the more times you're going to have to hit it, and try to make your pressure equal throughout the rock. Okay, I'm on my final hole. My angle will be about like that, so I can get the deepest part of the rock there. Okay, the holes are drilled. I'm a little concerned is that I didn't have the same angle on each of the holes. Some were more like that, some like this. So we'll see how it breaks with the varied angles. I prefer to have each angle straight in, you know. But the density of the rock may have a problem there. But yeah, maybe you shouldn't be worried about the density. But we'll see. So I clear off this. And then we'll be... See, the line is fairly straight here. That looks pretty good. Feathers are getting kind of straightened out. They're no longer feathers. So you got to be careful when you put them in. The feather is to help hold it on the edge. So I just stick just a little bit of the wedge in there. And remember, you want to put the wedge and get it positioned so she lines up where you want it to break. Wedges are in, and now it's time to start breaking the rock.
As this is a smaller rock surface to break, I'm using only 4 feathers and wedges. My hammer strikes are more evenly distributed than in the larger part of the block I broke before this in the episode of Splitting Rocks with Feathers and Wedges.
I hear it start to crack.
Yeah. Notice the sound from the hammer blows are becoming a bit more hollow.
Starting to crack.
Right, way up here.
Okay, it did break. But it broke into several pieces. Let's see and analyze a little bit why the rock broke the way it did. Notice the drill holes are fairly parallel and straight down. This one here was a little off like I had anticipated. But the way the rock broke is, this is actually two rocks in one. For somehow it got fused together. See, this is dry, and the way this one split, it split because it wasn't connected. So even though it appears connected, it isn't. So what happened is probably the outer shell was holding it together. So that's why it broke in two pieces. So it wasn't connected at all in these spots. Strange. Basalt is sometimes pretty unpredictable. So you want to break rock, huh? Well, this is how I did it today.